You're driving home from the pharmacy. There's a small paper bag on the passenger seat. And in that bag is your first psychiatric prescription. Will it change me? Will I be dependent forever? Will people know I'm on it? Will I stop feeling like myself? Or maybe you're not driving home yet. Maybe you're still deciding. Reading about it late at night. Wondering whether the medication is worse than what you're already living with. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most people who get their first psychiatric prescription go through some version of this. And most of the fear comes from one place: a misunderstanding of what these medications actually do. Most people who are afraid of psychiatric medications are scared of not just the science, but also what taking one might say about them, whether they are giving up, whether they are weak, whether they are becoming someone else. Those fears deserve a real answer, not dismissal. Today, we're going to decode what a psychiatrist actually thinks about when we prescribe, what these medications really do in your brain, what they don't do, and why the way most people imagine them is off by a mile. Let's clear one thing up first. This is not about whether psychiatric medications are good or bad for you. It is about informing you so you can make an informed decision with your doctor. One thing is certain though, psychiatric medications are not silver bullets or magic elixirs, but they are tuning tools. And when the right tool matches the right pattern, they work with your brain, not against it. Think of your nervous system as an orchestra. The strings carry mood, the brass handles alarm, the percussion handles alertness and drive, the woodwinds handle reward and pleasure. When every section plays in balance, the whole orchestra sounds like you. When one section is off, the whole music feels wrong. Not because you are broken, because a single section is playing louder or quieter than it should be. Psychiatric medications are not conductors overriding the orchestra. They are not amplifiers drowning it out. They are subtle adjustments to specific sections. That is the actual mechanism. Let's walk through the main categories. Knowing what each does removes most of the fear. First, antidepressants, the string tuners. They adjust serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. The SNREs, the atypicals like mirtazapine and bupropion. Antidepressants are the most prescribed psychiatric medications in the world, and they do not necessarily make you happy. They lift the fog that has been quiet in your strings. Most take 4 to 6 weeks to fully work, which frustrates almost every patient who starts them. But that time is the brain rebuilding its own capacity to feel again. Here's another piece most people never hear. Antidepressants are not just for depression. SSRIs are also first-line treatment for anxiety, panic disorder, PTSD, and OCD. The name is misleading. These are neurotransmitter tuners with broad applications. And depression itself often gets misread as personality, the exhaustion, the irritability, the quiet distance from things you used to love. Some patients live for years, believing that is just who they are now. It usually is not. Second, anti-anxiety medications, the alarm dampeners. Not all of them work the same way. Benzodiazepines like alprazolam or lorazepam act fast and quiet the alarm signal in the moment. Fastest tool in the box. Real risk of dependence with long-term use. Buspirone works slower and is better for chronic anxiety. Beta blockers like propranolol do not touch your emotions at all. They just quiet the physical alarm. Racing heart, shaky hands, different tools for different situations. Third, mood stabilizers, the amplitude adjusters. The job is to reduce the extremes. Highs come down, lows come up. Lithium is the original, discovered in 1949, and still considered one of the most effective medications in all of psychiatry. Lamotrigine and valproate are its newer cousins. These medications are essential for bipolar disorder. They are also used at lower doses for emotional dysregulation, irritability, or depression that has not responded to other treatments. Fourth, sleep medications, the tempo regulators. The Z drugs like zolpidem work fast but are for short-term use only. Trazodone, an older antidepressant, is often used off-label at low doses for sleep. Mirtazapine at low doses is another good option. Even melatonin, so often dismissed as an over-the-counter supplement, has real clinical use when the timing is right. Different sleep problems need different tools. Fifth, antipsychotics at low doses. This one surprises most people. Antipsychotics are not just for psychotic disorders. At low doses, quetiapine can be highly effective for sleep or severe anxiety. Aripiprazole is often added to boost the effect of an antidepressant. This is called augmentation, and it is one of the more nuanced tools in a psychiatrist's kit. When we mention a low-dose antipsychotic, we are almost never talking about treating psychosis. But the label carries stigma, and many patients decline these medications for that reason alone. Understanding what the dose is actually doing is often the key to a treatment that finally works. Now, the story that made all of this possible. It was 1949. In a small mental hospital in Bondora, Victoria, an Australian psychiatrist named John Cade was frustrated. His patients were suffering in ways nothing available could touch. He had no research team, no grant money, no lab of his own, just a curiosity and a determination not to give up. He began experimenting with lithium salts. What he saw next shocked him. Patients experiencing severe mania became calm within days. That single observation cracked open modern psychiatric medication. Every mood stabilizer since owes a debt to Cade's careful eye. 30 years later, in 1987, fluoxetine, the first RI, would transform how depression was treated. Every generation of psychiatric medication has been built on the last, refined by decades of research. Now here is the piece that matters most, and it is not clinical, it is human. If you ever start a psychiatric medication and it works, the strangest thing happens. You do not feel like a different person. You feel like yourself again, like something that had been muted has come back. Like a fog you did not even realize you were living in has lifted. Patients often describe it as, "I forgot I could feel this way." That is what a well-matched medication does. It does not override you, it restores you. Sometimes patients only realize how bad things were once they start to feel better. Sometimes they do not recognize the fog until it lifts. That is not proof they were faking or being dramatic. That is what mood dysregulation does. It becomes completely invisible from the inside. This is not everyone's experience. Some people need to try 2 or 3 medications before they find the right match. But when the right one lands, that quiet restoration is what patients notice most. A few practical things worth knowing before you start. Ask why this specific medication, not why medication in general. Why this molecule at this dose for you. A thoughtful psychiatrist will tell you which system they are targeting and what to expect. Give it time. Most psychiatric medications need 4 to 6 weeks to work. The first 2 weeks are often the hardest. That is not the medication failing. That is your nervous system recalibrating. Side effects can occur, but some fade away in 1 to 2 weeks. If they persist, tell your psychiatrist. There are usually adjustments that can be made or alternatives. Medication is one tool, not the only one. This is the #1 mistake many people make, assuming that medication alone is the solution. Sleep, exercise, therapy, nutrition, and stress load all shape whether a medication actually works. Other factors that influence your mental health also need to be reviewed. Inflammation, gut health, mitochondria, hormones, blood sugar, and insulin resistance. Psychiatrists should not only prescribe but also ask about other crucial aspects of your life. And finally, tell your psychiatrist everything. What is helping, what is not, what is starting to shift, however small. Psychiatric medication is a partnership. The best outcomes come when patients speak up and psychiatrists actually listen. The prescription you are holding is not a life sentence. It is a tuning tool for a specific pattern in your nervous system. Used well, alongside the rest of the work, it can be one of the most useful instruments in your recovery. The medication is one instrument. Your psychiatrist is the conductor. You are the orchestra, and the music you make together is the life you're trying to recover. For more mental health content from a board-certified psychiatrist, subscribe to this channel.